Okay, hi everyone. I'm back with another guest for another conversation. Today we have Stephanie. Say hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
So nice to have you on. I really enjoyed having Will on to give his perspective. And with you, I wanted you on as well because I just find that your story's also been really an intriguing one for me, and you've really been moving along quickly in your journey that I really felt it's worthwhile to share with others. So I'm just
hmm
gonna give a quick little rundown. Basically, I met Stephanie locally where I live through some people in the spiritual community. She's a Reiki healer, and she was sort of exposed to the fact that she could be a twin flame based on her story from mutual spiritual friends. They told her to get in touch with me. We had a session where I gave her the twin flame reading. She gave me some Reiki healing, which was wonderful, by the way. And I right away, it was like, she's definitely a twin flame, but wow, she is a female runner. She had a very strong masculine energy at that time. She was in a relationship with a boyfriend, and I just found her story very intriguing, but things have really turned quickly lately. So I really wanted to get her on and just share sort of this perspective of a feminine who can be a runner, because we don't hear about that as much. It's usually feminine chaser, masculine runner. So feminine, very feminine woman, very strong masculine traits to her. Was running from her twin, and basically from there, Stephanie, how about if you just give a sort of breakdown of when you met your twin and sort of a story of what happened?
Yeah. So kind of starting at the beginning.
Yeah, if you can, back when you
Yeah.
met and had a boyfriend and all this.
So I actually met him through a job that I picked up on the side because I was saving money to move cities with
Mhm.
my now ex-boyfriend. And
Mhm.
I was in a pretty happy relationship. Not perfect, but not totally unhappy, not seeking anything outside of that.
Mhm.
And so I met my twin flame at a work meeting very early in. He had been away and he'd come back. And there was this weird moment that we've since talked about. We kind of both had this like weird like familiar feeling
Mhm.
um when we first saw each other, like a knowing.
Yes, that
It was
wrecking.
just like a weird um soul knowing kind of thing the moment we saw each other. And he's very friendly, he's very open, he was very kind right off the bat. And I started working with him, and we would work together, like usually like one shift a week. And I
Mhm.
just wanted to be around him like so much.
Oh, that
And like
magnetic
we would just like
attraction.
chat. Yeah, exactly. We just like chat a lot, and we just had a really strong connection. He knew I had a boyfriend. I was very open about it because, especially since I felt this draw to him, I felt like I had to talk about my at the time boyfriend, because I had
Mhm.
to be very kind of clear, because there was this like weird chemistry.
Yes.
And one night we go out for a drink after work because I just wanted to spend time with him as much as possible whenever I could. And
Yes.
we talked for hours, and we got really deep and really vulnerable and really open. And then there was this weird moment during where he was opening up about some childhood stuff. And it was like, he looked me in the eyes, and it was like the weirdest. It always feels funny to say,
Mhm.
but it felt like I was looking into his soul, like seeing what's inside the person, like this weird,
Oh,
like deep seeing the soul.
that's
And
so crazy because I don't think you've listened to the interview I posted with Will yet,
no,
but
I actually haven't.
yeah, I know you haven't, you've been busy, haven't had the chance yet, but he said the same thing, like that he
Oh,
felt like they were looking into each other's souls.
yeah. Yeah, that's
Wow.
exactly how it felt. And I got this feeling in my chest, this like kind of sickly, like butterfly feeling in my chest that didn't go away for 3 days after that.
Oh.
Um, and I was crying a lot because, after he's like, what do I do with this? Like, there's this like emotional vulnerability with you, there's this connection, and you're in a relationship. He's like, I don't know what to do with this. So I just was like crying a lot because I was like, oh my gosh, how can I'm a horrible person. I'm in this relationship with this kind person who is very good to me, but I just have fallen in love with someone else like in an instant. At that
Yeah.
point in time, I'd only known him for a month, maybe less. And
Wow.
it was literally a feeling of seeing someone's soul. And
Yes.
it was like very difficult for me.
The vulnerability can be scary, and it's like, oh gosh, why am I opening up so much? This is scary because we've been taught to not let ourselves go there, especially not so soon with someone and not someone we don't know very well.
Yeah, and I think that aspect was bigger for him than me. That's part of
Hmm.
why he was like, "What do I do with this? Like, you're exactly like I can be vulnerable with you. I can be emotional." But with
Oh,
me, I've done a lot of work in that area, so I was already very open.
yes.
And maybe that made space for him too. Just being very open and sharing my history, my childhood wounds, and giving him the space too as well.
Yes.
Um, so
It
after
happened with
that,
my twin and I as well. We opened up, and after we opened up like that, he was like, "What am I doing?" Like, he looked frightened. Like, "Why am I telling you this stuff?" He cried. He was so afraid of why he got that open with me. So it's again another big twin flame sign for any of you out there that, you get to that point and it's scary, and it's especially scary when you're not used to that.
yeah, definitely, I definitely can see that. Um, he kind of was almost confused by how vulnerable he could be
Oh.
with me. But I
But then
had
you
a
still had to
boyfriend.
work with him, right?
Yeah. So there was a lot of push and pull over the next couple of months. I was probably working with him for like 5 months in total before moving away. And it was push and pull. Like we would go out for drinks and nothing sexual would happen, but we would just talk for hours. We just wanted to be near each other always, and like I got a sickly feeling every time I looked at him. Like when I'd walk into work, I thought about him all the time. I got so excited to go to work when I'd be seeing him, and like I'd always make extra effort. Like I was just like
Oh.
so into him and so pulled to him, and I thought about him all the time, and I was like, this is crazy. I felt like I was crazy because I was in a relationship that I wasn't going to leave. I was planning to move away with this person. I just like it was so inconvenient is how it felt.
Yes, there's got to be
But
blocks in the way.
yeah, but I couldn't deny how I felt about him. So I just continued to be pulled to him. And um there were periods of time where we wouldn't talk for weeks because it's like this is too hard, and then we'd be swept back into each other's energy. And so the month before I left, I we started to like kiss, like
Oh, yes.
I
It's so
like I
hard.
it was so hard because I was like always holding back so much and being like, no, like we can't, nothing, like it couldn't be anything um sexual because I was in a relationship. But like, yeah, we
It
started
just
to like just
happened.
like like kiss, whatever. Like
Yes.
and and then I was like leaving. It was like the last month I opened up to it so much more to him. So it
Hmm.
was just in general, like being more vulnerable and like saying things like, let's run away, like just
Yes.
like being more like, I want you, but I'm still leaving.
Yeah.
Um, because I really felt that where I was moving had something for me. It was less about choosing between people and more about that I needed to leave the city I was living in and I had to move, which
Yeah.
I did. And
Yeah.
with all that I know about the twin flame connection now, I feel like if we hadn't been together then, we would have ruined it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
look at
It
where we
wasn't
were,
time.
and for me to have left a relationship to be with him and like decided not to move and like, because there were times where he would say things like alluding that he wanted me to leave my relationship and be with him kind of thing. So,
Yes.
but I know that it would have not been good. It wouldn't
So
have.
when you moved away, first off, I know that you just started on this, like, to me, it's like the path of awakening all of a sudden. You were just
Mhm.
delving right into some really like deep stuff and just sort of on your own journey. And were you pushing him away, would you say, from because you're trying to be with your boyfriend,
Yeah.
you're busy, you're living this life, you're focused. So were you distant from him physically and energetically?
I mean, it would go in and out. I was really, really trying to commit to the life that I had chosen for myself. I was completely into my logical brain. At this point in time, I wasn't really happy with my boyfriend. There we'd had, there was a lot of stress leading up to the move. He was very unhappy. He was very unhappy even when we moved here, which I thought would make him happier, like so there
Mm-hmm.
were ups and downs with it. And I would crave for my twin flame, but I wouldn't talk to him because I was really trying to um, live this life that I had chosen. And
Yeah.
I delved into all my spiritual stuff because this is things that I'm really into and that I kind of was closeted because where the people around me when I grew up, no one was spiritual, you know. They were
Yeah.
either religious or atheist, and I didn't feel that I had the space. So
Yes.
I kind
It
of
seems
really
like
delved
weird.
into.
Like, why have you changed like this? So you could come to a new city, start a new life. And yeah, when I met you, you were just vibrant and vibing with oh, like I do Reiki, and you seem like you want to get involved in things and learn about things. And you were just really like delved right in. It seems like you're reading books, you were going to school for holistic nutrition and doing like major cleanses, which I feel is a part of spiritual growth. And you
Yeah.
were just aromatherapy, like crystals. You were just and
Oh
then
yeah.
after we hung out, then it was cards, and like you're really like delving right in, which is so cool to see. Like very quickly from what you tell me, from the time you got here to like today, how
Yeah.
long was that? And what was your spiritual growth like?
So I think in a lot of ways, meeting him was a catalyst for this because I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is a weird connection. This is not normal. I knew nothing of twin flames until I met you or until people started telling me of these things. Like I knew
Yeah,
nothing of twin flames. I was just like, there's this guy, and I'm like, we have this like crazy connection, and I can like feel his energy, and it's like weird, and I'm like, I
divine
can't get rid of
intervention.
it. Yeah, I
Divine
wanted to get rid
intervention.
of
You get
it
the
so bad.
and you get handed the information when it's time for you to know, I feel.
Hmm. Yeah. So like I've been here for like a year and a half almost. And
Wow.
in that period of time, I've gone through like huge change. I've found my life path. And I really think meeting him was a catalyst for that because of the pain. I'll say
Mhm.
this with my twin flame journey, it has been very painful. Uh, there's such a deep love there that's like and so much like resistance and so much in my logical brain, and it's just been suffering, like I'm a very loyal person, so I'm in a partnership where I'm in love with someone else, and it just felt so wrong, and like I wasn't leaving because I was fighting it because I was in my logical brain. And it's just been a huge catalyst for like, what is this? Diving deeper into spirituality, what do I really want? Like I don't know, it just like flicked a switch within me.
Like
And
coming
coming out.
into your soul truth, like who you truly are deep
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, like really like I don't know. I feel like it was a lot to do with him. It kind of
I
flicked a
can see that.
switch.
Yes.
And seeking comfort and community in a new city, and but I just like was like, who am I? And I'm going to try to be the fullest expression of that. So I started seeking, and everything was very serendipitous. It felt very in alignment. The way
Hmm.
I've met people and had opportunities and the things that I've been a part of since moving here, it's just been amazing to see it all kind of fall into alignment. So I delved a lot into my spiritual growth, and that was where I put my pain. So instead of and so it was something to soak up this
Yeah.
like sadness and this pain, this kind of being unhappy in my relationship, craving and longing for this person who I barely talk to, but we both like, I like every time we post a picture, I feel sick. Like just, it's
Oh.
like so crazy about this
Instagram would
person.
sort of be your connecting tool, right? Where he'd look at your stories and
Yes.
you'd look at his
And I'd
posts or
see his little face always at the top of my stories. Uh, and I'd post things just because I wanted him to see them, like a way of kind of
oh, I did
reaching out
that.
without us actually talking. Like,
Yes. I did that on Twitter for my twin. My Twitter
yeah,
account literally like, hello twin, know about me, know about my life. This is a song I'm listening to right now. Like
yeah.
everything.
I'm like, ooh, I'm doing so much growth. You'd be so proud of me. Look at all the things I'm doing.
I
Look
love
at all
it.
this personal development I'm putting in. Like, love me, love me.
love it.
You
We're
know,
jinxing
like,
it.
because I had decided to move and I decided to be in this relationship from a very logical standpoint, not from the heart. So I was in my logical brain trying really, really hard
Yeah.
to live this life. I did
It was a
Vipassana.
3D partnership. And when I met you, when I pulled cards from you the first time, I was like, okay, like I could see that you would be able to let go of it. But I remember at that time you're like, you were really in it. Like it's like we have a life together. I have a home together with
Oh,
him.
yeah.
I have my
I was like, am I going to marry this person, have
yeah,
kids with
you
this
want to have
person?
kids. It was a partnership that really made sense. He had moved to the city where you fell in love with the city. So here you are like living in a different city with a guy from, your native city. You have a business out of your home together and you're taking clients there. Like everything was really, it felt quite solid, to be honest with you, when I was there, that I didn't
Oh,
think
yeah.
it could move so quickly, that I was like, wow.
Yeah, but I think also like you said something to me early in, like I was like, oh, maybe I'll be with my twin flame later in life. Like I was like, maybe we'll be old people together, you know? I was
Yeah.
in denial. And you were like,
Yes.
I think you're going to come to union sooner than you think. You're like, can't give you a timeline, but sooner than you think. And then you're
Exactly.
like, and I don't think that you're going to marry this person you're in a relationship with. I think that
Yeah.
this is the marriage. And I was like, wow, it just
Yeah,
like
I wasn't feeling it,
clarified.
and I know you weren't feeling it. And sometimes I can be that voice of truth to some people. Some people get like almost like irritated when I tell them things like that. It's like, oh no, don't put a like burst the bubble of my big plan. I'm because sometimes with runners, I find it's like you definitely, I mean, this is what's so interesting about your dynamic. You definitely have your feminine energy in there. You're definitely open and spiritual, but you were, like you said, more in your logical, masculine, like what made sense
Oh,
for
yeah.
your lifestyle, your
Choice. And
business,
what do I want?
financially. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I was so in my logical brain and in that masculine running energy. I was like, constantly trying to cut cords with this twin flame. Like I did a meditation retreat, and the whole time I was like trying to like work through getting rid of my feelings for him, you know, like resistance,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
I just like I had chosen a different life and I wanted it to go away. And I don't think I knew it was a twin flame connection until a couple months after that meditation retreat. But I was
Yeah.
like so uncomfortable because I was like, I couldn't get rid of this. I was like constantly trying to cut that cord and I couldn't. I like it's the only cord that I could not cut in my visualizations.
Yeah.
And
You
it
learned
just like,
so much to be able to do that.
yeah, I was like, see, I was like, I just didn't want to be in pain anymore. I was like,
Yeah.
there's this, and the worst feeling was that I had chosen not to be with this person. I loved him more than I've loved anyone in my whole life, and I was choosing not to be with him.
Wow. Yes.
He wanted to be with me, and
Yeah.
I was saying no, because I was like, well, my boyfriend's a good person and I really want to move, and I was so in my logical brain. I was not following my heart. So I was like, I
Yeah.
was suffering. Here I am suffering 7 months after I haven't seen him, barely talked to him, still suffering. I'm like, what the hell is this? And
Yeah.
I chose that. I chose not to be with him when he said, be with me. I
Yeah.
chose that. And that was
Yeah.
so hard for me because I
And this is
still,
huge.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but this is huge because, and this is a big reason why I feel like I wanted to get you on and Will on, is because a lot of times the one that's on that chaser side, we're like, oh, we feel like it brings up our abandonment wounds and all these issues within us, because it's like, how can they feel this and push me away? And to hear from your side, to hear from Will's side and be like, holy smokes, I thought you guys had it easy, the one that was running. I thought it was like,
No.
no, get away from me. I'm gonna go live my life. Bye. Like, but no, from speaking to you guys, is like, holy smokes, you go through the same sort of thing that we go through on the will argue with me that he thinks it's harder on that side. He's like,
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't my choice. Do you know what it feels like to have it on you that it's your choice?
Yeah,
Like, I'm
but you
hard.
still can't let go of the love,
Yes.
even though you've chosen to keep your life the way it is and not upheaval your whole life. But yeah, like sometimes if he just rejected me, then I could have like maybe it would have been easier to move on. I doubt it because it's a twin flame connection.
Yeah.
I think it would have been.
It's
I
not
think,
easy on
I'm
our end
sensitive.
either.
It probably
it's
would have been
terrible.
worse.
We're like, you could just make this one little choice and we could be together. Why aren't you doing it, right? At that time. But
Yeah.
there's definitely there's reasons and time, and this is what I've found is so key, and we'll go on with your story of just where the dynamic is at now, in that it's divine timing. It's
Yeah.
not just human choices. There's work being done in the background. So yeah, so now we'll come up to speed with just you sort of really awakening to the connection, and then
Okay.
being able to come into your heart instead of your mind. What was that process for you?
So that process was a lot thanks to the work I've done with you. You've been really helpful with clarity and me understanding this connection and understanding that it's never going to go away no matter how much I try to will it to go away.
Oh, no control.
And right? And
Yeah.
just like really kind of getting into my heart space and coming to the conclusion that the relationship I was in, I didn't want to be in regardless of this other connection. That it wasn't even like leaving him for someone else at that point in time. I hadn't seen my twin flame in over a year. And I was not wanting to be in the relationship I was in anyway. Like I had come to that conclusion because I didn't want to leave him for someone else, and it just felt really wrong. And
You saw sort of the codependency of it, that it was just like you sounded like me, and that me and my ex, it felt like two roommates living together, and we
100%.
could split the rent, and he
We
was
split
good
the rent, and he's
companionship.
nice, and we
Yeah, we
cook,
can
and we
talk.
clean, and I like my home, and I like this, and it wasn't about him anymore.
Exactly.
And that's when I knew. It was like, at least in the beginning, I still loved him. So it was like, I don't want to leave a person that I love, who I have a good relationship with, for this random guy who I just like am crazy about all of a sudden in this really like bizarre and unhealthy feeling way.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not healthy. Like to just like fall like that for someone so quickly. I'm like, this is not normal. Something's wrong with me.
That's what Will always said. He's like, no, this is not, like, he would think it's an unhealthy addiction, or
because we're in our logical brains way too much.
I need to take care of my mental health, he would say. Like, this isn't right. I'm like, oh gosh, good luck to you, pal.
Oh, but it doesn't go away.
No.
So I went back to visit after like 14 months away, and very, very little contact, to check in here and there, like very little contact aside from, watching each other's lives on Instagram. And so when I went back,
You went back to the city where you're from, and he
Yes.
lives there. Okay.
And he lives there. And we got together, and we talked, and I was a mess because I'd come to the conclusion I was leaving my relationship, and with the support of my family and stuff. And I was like, I was a mess. I was in a weird energetic place for like a month or so, even including that trip. And before that trip, it was like a huge shift. I'd let go of some things, some work that I was doing, I got rid of. And, it was like, there was a lot of change happening for me. It kind of felt like I was like taking my life apart. So, so we get together, and we go for coffee or whatever, and we talk, and we're both saying like nothing's changed. We still feel the same. He's saying the same things, because on my side I'm like, am I crazy, like that I'm just still like after all this time so
because
in
it's
love
not
with this
like
person.
the two of you ever said, oh, I think you're my twin flame or something like that. Or
I actually did.
Oh yes, you did after our
I did. But very, very gently. He's spiritually open, but he's certainly not where I'm at with spirituality.
Okay. Yes.
So I've said it once before, because we were talking. When was this? We were talking before I went out there. One day we just had a conversation, and we just checked in. We actually we would randomly have these good big conversations, very sparse, closer to me seeing him again.
Yes.
I think maybe I'd told him I was coming out there or something, but I mentioned it. I was like, oh, like, I think maybe you're my twin flame. Like, I've learned about this connection, and we have a lot of the similarities, the same upbringing and the same traumas, and like even the runner, like the runner chaser thing. I was like, if you ever are curious about it, go read up on it and whatever. And he's like, oh, I think this connection is kind of, we come from the same upbringing, and we have a lot of like a lot of similar qualities and stuff. And I'm thinking, yeah, those are twin flame symptoms, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. So I go there and, we're like, nothing's changed, whatever.
Okay, so he did know about the twin flame concept at least a little bit
I had mentioned it.
when
Yes.
you saw him in person, and you mentioned it maybe a month or so prior, not that long.
Not that long.
Okay.
Yeah, so I told him I was definitely leaving my boyfriend and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So that night, yeah, I go for dinner where he's working, and we hang out after, and he ends up telling me that this mutual friend of ours, he had kind of had like an on and off relationship with her. They were like good friends, but they, slept together, and they tried dating a few times, but he didn't feel that way about her. He couldn't force it, and he just like really didn't care to be with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know. I didn't know that he was with anyone. I mean, you assume, of course, there's got to be some romantic things in like over a year of being apart. He's not a
girl
bad
that
looking
person.
But
this
yeah,
girl was
and I had
also
seen her. She worked. She came near to the end of me leaving.
Okay,
so
you guys worked together for a bit, and you left the job, and she still worked with him for a while after.
For a long time, and they're neighbors.
Okay.
So they're close friends. She's lovely.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, this is the weirdest thing. When I first met her, I had this weird feeling that they were going to get together. And I think I see a lot of similarities in us, maybe, but I just had a weird knowing. So I was always kind of waiting for it, but then there was never really like proof of it. They just hung out, they were friends. There was no but I always knew it would be her. It was super weird. So like, but he told me they were totally done, and they tried dating and for a couple weeks, and it just really, he just doesn't feel that way about her no matter how he tries. So they broke up, and they're still friends, whatever. Super casual. So the next day I see her, and she decides to finally tell me everything. So she's opening up and telling me all about their relationship and how he hurt her, and like, they just broke up 2 weeks ago and all these things. And I was like, holy cow, like, this is too much.
And you had formed a friendship with this girl. Didn't she visit you?
Yeah, she stayed with me when she visited.
But didn't mention a word about anything with him when she
never. No, just that they're friends. She even said something like she wouldn't want to date another person in his field of work.
Wow.
I had no idea.
Oh my gosh. Another block.
But I never told her anything because we never got to that place, whatever. Yeah. So long story short, basically the stuff with her after seeing me, and, I'm trying to give her advice to do with him without saying anything or being biased. It was very awkward.
Oh gosh.
He ends up telling her about our history and stuff like that. And it's just messy.
A bit of a love triangle.
Yeah, it's messy. So
you're friends with her, they're friends with each other, they've been sleeping together, they've been on and off, feelings established, so it's just
she still has feelings. She still has feelings. He doesn't have feelings for her, but he cares about her as a friend, and he doesn't want to hurt her.
Yes.
So it's just kind of messy. And of course I go back home and I break up with my boyfriend right away. And of course, like, and then lo and behold, this person, my twin flame, is going to actually be coming to the city I live for some work, like a couple of times
and that
in
was
coming
so
2 months.
Yeah.
He was there the next week. He was there like 5 days later.
Yeah, you go to visit after a year and a half, and suddenly, randomly, he has a job in our city. It's just nuts.
It was so synchronous. And of course, I'm thinking, I actually broke up with my boyfriend on my twin flame's birthday.
Wow. I remember you told me that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
happy birthday, twin.
Yeah, it was kind of like my gift to him.
Wow. So
but like,
twin... oh yes. And how was it? Can you, just for people that are really afraid of breaking up, I find how it's been going interesting. Can you just share like a little touch about
what's happening?
Yeah, because some people are so afraid of it, like, oh my gosh, everything's gonna fall apart and this and that, and yours has actually been fairly smooth in a way.
Yeah, I mean, by the time I leave a relationship, I'm done. There's no going in and out. There's no I'm gonna sleep with you. It's like it's very clean.
Yes.
And there were some things within the relationship that my needs were not being met, and my ex knows that. And, there
You
were a
were
lot of things.
clear.
Yeah, I was very clear, and I wasn't leaving him for my twin flame or anything like that. I was breaking up with him because I no longer had feelings for him that were beyond being platonic.
And that's the key right there that you said. I was not leaving him for my twin flame. I put out a video a long time ago, and I think it's gotten the most hits of any of my videos. And it's like what to do when you're married or in a relationship and meet your twin flame. And that's why I said, like, do not leave your current relationship because you think your twin flame's just going to come and swoop from under and pick up where they left off, because it's not the case. You know what I mean? You'll
No.
be going through soul growth. And you have to be ready to leave that relationship because you are just ready and you want to.
Yeah, I had explored all that it could give me, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I was no longer in love with this person.
Yeah.
It
You
became
guys
very,
cleared
very clear.
karma. You got your lessons from him, your soul growth that he could provide you with, vice versa. And that's like my ex and I love him. He's my soulmate. I love him to this day. He's a great person, but the romance was gone. It was
Oh,
done for
yeah.
a long time before I met my twin flame.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so the
So he
breakup, like,
handled it
it was
quite
hard.
well, right?
Yeah, it was very hard for me
Yeah.
because I have issues with conflict, and that comes from childhood wounds and traumas, and I hate hurting people. I'm an
Yeah.
empath. I feel people's pain. So, like, hurting
Yeah.
someone is like hurting myself. And it was just so devastating and such a hard conversation to have, but I had to do it. And I did
Yeah.
it, and I pulled off the band-aid, and I went and I stayed with a friend, and I just, like,
Give some space.
got some space. We're currently still living together. So this breakup is fresh. It's been a couple
Yeah.
months, like 2 months.
You're just like my ex and I. We lived like roommates where one was sleeping on the couch and one was sleeping in the bed, and
that's
as you
exactly what it is.
transition, yeah.
Totally separate, living our own lives, but we're getting along really well. There's a few hiccups, and there's some things that he's kind of I feel like he's using as like a coping mechanism, or like taking out on me, primarily focused around money and money spent within the relationship, things like that. He's really focusing on. But I feel like aside from that, we've been very amicable and very civil, and, kind of worked through it together. Like, we figured out I'm going to move out very soon and start my own life separate. But, maybe we can stay friends. We'll see.
Yeah.
Once I'm out. But yeah, it's been very amicable.
Good.
Which is good.
I was so relieved, to be honest. You just never know what could happen, and I was so relieved that it's like, like it felt like a breath of fresh air. And I think a lot of quote unquote runners, they're so afraid, but they have to understand, like, this other person, I feel like they can feel it too when you're 1 foot out the door all the time, or you're thinking about it. It's energy. Like, they feel it. They have to feel it.
I know. That's what
Like,
I
why
always wondered.
they deserve, I believe they deserve someone that is just so into them. And even with me, with my ex, people are like, oh my goodness. I even get comments sometimes on my videos, you shouldn't have ever left your husband. Like, you're selfish and da da da. It's like, actually, my husband and I have a wonderful friendship, which was the basis of our relationship. He has moved on to a much more suitable woman who suits him and brings out the best in him and adores him, and it's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is good. So that happened. So your twin came back into town after, though, and you met up with him.
I did.
This is where things start to get interesting to me.
Yeah, where things like
a little juicy.
It's
a twist.
Yeah. Oh God. And just to preface this whole story, I did see him yesterday. So
yes.
So
for the second time recently, right? That's his second trip.
The third.
Okay.
Yeah. So he comes out here. We get together for dinner. We're joking at dinner that this is our actual first date because I'm finally single, and we were like so into each other. But literally,
this was like a month ago, or
yes.
Okay.
So, but before I left before I left home, to come.
They all know where I live, girl, but it's all good.
Whatever. Who cares? It's fine. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
trying to be super anonymous, you know.
Yeah.
So before I came back home, we met again for coffee, and basically that girl had opened up to him and told him how he'd hurt her and all these things. And he was saying to me at coffee, like, you know, it was very hard for me to see how I'd hurt her, how I was being selfish, these patterns I was going through, that she was hurt. So he's like, so we have to put this on ice, like, we have to like not do that, like not be romantic, and just I need to work on like my friendship with her, whatever. Like, I don't want to hurt her. I don't want us to get together if it's going to hurt people, kind of thing. So we left. We ended up talking for like 2 hours, as we always do, and
Mhm.
leaving on like a good note. And then he's here, like, yeah, we'll like hang out. So I don't think it's gonna be romantic, because he's like, no, we're gonna like put this on ice. But the moment I see him, he's like kissing me and stuff. And we go for dinner, and we're joking it's our first real date, and we end up sleeping together for the first time that night. So
Mhm.
I'd broken up with my boyfriend like a week before this or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Finally.
yeah, like
It's been
finally, like after all this time, because you know the sexual tension can be really intense with twin flames,
oh my gosh.
like drive
Yeah.
you like absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So we finally slept together, and I spent the night. I could not sleep at all.
Oh.
Because I was just like in his energy. I'm like, how are you sleeping right now? I'm like, I can't sleep at all. I'm like,
Oh, it's like you're on a high, like a high, high, high. Like
oh my God, just like
I used
being
to
in
get
this
that
energy.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, there was no way I was sleeping. I could not sleep at all.
It was
And I
literally
had
like
an
on
appointment the next
cloud
morning.
nine. You feel like you just took the best drug, love drug of life.
Oh, yeah.
Action, your chakras are like literally sparking. I don't know. It's just insane.
Yeah. It was,
Ugh.
yeah. I just, ugh, couldn't even sleep. And I was like ecstatic. And I was like, you know, of course you're like, oh, we're going to be together now. No. Spoiler, no. And
This is
uh, so he's here for like
you're
you know.
finally ready to stop running, and then he starts freaking running.
Yeah. Literally.
Oh
Oh,
God.
it's all as it's meant to be. Like there's supposed to
Yes.
be more healing. I can see that now, but at the time I just wanted to be with him. I thought we were like, and I thought
Yes.
because he told the other girl about her history and like whatever, I thought great, she's gonna at least she knows we can be open and honest. No. It's
Yeah.
more like he doesn't want to hurt her feelings. So um he was supposed to see me on a couple days that he was there, and he got too busy with work and he couldn't the one day, and then the next day I was kind of away, and I was every time like I'm always trying to like not be too eager or intense.
Yes.
And like that's always like a focus. I'm like always trying to reel myself in. So I'm like
And
really
to back it
understanding
up
when.
too a little, sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As soon as you came back from seeing him that first time and
Mm-hmm.
you had just broken up your boyfriend, you came over and you were like, I have to talk to you. And we talked. And then I pulled cards, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was so clear in the cards. I was like, no, because it was, and I warned you, like,
Yeah.
just so
Because I
you
was like, oh,
know,
we're gonna be together now.
yeah, I'm like, just so you know, you
No,
have
you're
to
not.
tie up some loose ends and tie up some stuff with that girl. He might run a
There was a
little
lot of
bit,
fear
like
coming up in the cards.
exactly, but really telling you, and also just telling you out of experience, stay balanced, do not worry, don't go into fear, and it was crazy because I was hoping the cards were wrong. I was praying the cards were wrong,
Nope.
and
The cards are
sure
never
enough,
wrong.
his actions showed it, like bam, like right away. It was like
Yeah.
incredible. But in
Yeah,
a
because then he
way,
was
it's
like
been
put in
nice that
space.
I think synchronistically it's been nice that we've connected. And then I'm literally telling you, like, oh my gosh, back then when my twin came, I just poured my heart out and, like, okay, are we going to get married now? Da, 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 and scared the crap out of him. And he ran for the hills for like so long. So I felt like, too, I could sort of give you a heads up energetically, and you're like, okay, and it would make sense to you. And you could stay in a really balanced place, and even consciously be aware of staying in a balanced place, which was good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it helped me a lot to hear your experience because, and I was coming so much from the logical, but like even that first night when we were out for dinner, like we hadn't been together in all this time, and we hadn't talked and barely talked in all this time, and I'm like, and I said to him at dinner, I was like, oh, I've realized like as much as I want to live here, I would move back home for you, kind of thing. Like I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I could see in his face like, what the hell, like
Yeah, they get
I
like,
had
oh, okay.
I had my moments of being just like so open
Your
to the point where it was
feminine
kind of
totally
like,
came up.
oh yeah, just like a bit much for him. Like what? I was like, if, and we'd talk about like if this becomes a relationship or like, if timing is ever right for us, we always like talk about it that way.
And I do want
Um,
to add too that around this time, I physically saw it, and leading up, you went from just like more sort of neutral, and I forget, you even told me how you would even dress. All of a sudden, you're wearing like sort of pretty skirts, and you're, going for facials and getting your nails done. It felt like you're feminine, your sort of
oh yeah.
goddess was just coming out of you, even like, not to be personal, but like your sexual energy, it just felt like it's exuding like this sensualness and real femininity was sort of really coming out of you, and you seemed to really connect into your heart space, and something was really shifting very quickly with you.
Oh, absolutely. And I always think the things with whenever I connect with my twin flame, we are catalysts for each other. Change happens
Yes.
really, really fast. Like lessons happen really, really fast. What we want and what we don't want becomes very apparent for both of us, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, in this breakup too, like my ex-boyfriend was very like,
Very
like, oh, I
practical.
don't really like, yeah, very practical. Like, I don't like long nails, and like, oh, like getting your hair done is like a waste, and like, oh, putting on makeup is a waste of time, and like, oh, I love when you wear like clothes that are like neutral and functional, like not into like very
You're right, in
pretty
your hiking
feminine. He
boots,
doesn't
and
care,
yeah.
which
Yes.
had its, but like I didn't feel like I could stand in that feminine side of myself. I felt like I tucked her away for the duration of this relationship.
Yeah.
And like if I'd wear high heels, he'd be like, don't complain about your feet, like it was like
Oh
very,
yeah.
I felt like I had to tuck that part of myself that is very much a part of who I am away. So as soon
Yeah.
as we broke up, I'm getting my nails done, I'm getting my like,
Yeah.
I'm getting my facials, and I got my lashes done. And I was just like, screw it. And I'm like wearing
Yes.
dresses and shopping. And I went out and bought lingerie because, at this point in time, after all this time in this platonic feeling relationship, your girl's only got granny panties left.
I laughed so hard. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It was the cutest thing though to like literally, I like, we become friends. So I'm on your Instagram, and all of a sudden on your story, it's like, oh, getting this done, oh, doing that, and even just like a pretty selfie, and like I know like your twin can see it, but I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like just really coming into this like beautiful feminine goddess energy, and it's just like glowing off of her, and it's like I feel pretty and I feel wonderful. And it was
It's like
so lovely.
the feminine energy was literally like I was coming into that so much.
Oh, I felt it and I saw it, and it's great. It's so beautiful.